Trichoderma here. So, in the gym, working with a young man who, he's got goals, he's got motivation, he's wanting to do things, but he keeps approaching this from a standpoint of wanting to prove other people wrong. You know, evidently at some point he let his goals be known, and I don't think they're unreasonable. I asked him, are you sitting here telling everybody you're going to be the next Mr. Olympia? No, nothing like that. But they just, number one, they didn't think he would stick to it. Number two, they didn't think that he would, follow any kind of a decent eating plan. Number three, they didn't think he would stop drinking a bunch of alcohol. Just the kind of things that naysayers say. And sometimes people say that shit just so that you don't leave them behind. Your drinking buddies don't want you to stop drinking. It just is what it is. The person who enjoys sitting around shoving donuts in their face with you don't want you to stop eating donuts. It just is what it is. They don't realize that you can still be around. You can still, enjoy spending time with them. You're just not participating in that same activity. So this guy is coming from a place where he wants to do a lot better for himself, but the people around him are just naysaying. They're being negative. And so in his mind, he's taken that and he's decided that he's going to prove them all wrong. And he's going to do the things that he said he could do. And again, his goals are, he's going to have to be very strict. He's going to have to put in a lot of real work. And his eating plan is going to have to really be on top of it. But are they possible? Yeah, it's possible he could. Barring injury, because he gets injured, he's kind of done. But they're possible. What I was trying to tell him today is take a minute and think about this. Instead of trying to prove everybody else wrong, why don't you just take a few minutes to try to prove yourself right? Instead of saying, I'm going to show everybody else that they don't know what they're talking about, why don't you look at it from a mind frame of, I'm going to prove that I can do the things that I say I can do, because in that whole prove other people wrong, if somebody tells you you can't gain 10 pounds of muscle this year, and you get to 10 pounds of muscle, you've proved them wrong. What's your next goal? Well, who's the next hater you have to find to give you the motivation to continue on? Because you've met your goal, you've proved the guy wrong. Who's that next person? And to be honest with you, I wouldn't want to spend all my time in the gym in my entire life trying to prove other people wrong, because you're always in a negative connotation. You're always sitting there and you're always, working from a place of, I have a bunch of haters and I have to, try to do things to make them look like they don't know what they're talking about. If you're out there trying to prove yourself right, in the middle of that whole thing, if you say, okay, well, I think I can gain 10 pounds of muscle this year, and let's say that you're getting new workout gains and you're packing them on, and you're like, hey, you know what? I think I can gain 12. I think I can gain 14. You gain 14. You're doing so, but I think I can do this stuff. And you're just proving yourself right. And when you start operating from that positive mind frame that you're going to prove yourself right, then what you start finding is that you're in control. You're setting the goals. You're the person who's motivating yourself. You're not motivated by some outside influence. You're the person motivating yourself, and that's important, because I'm going to tell you, when I first started working out in the gym, I had a hater in my first week in the gym. He made some comments, that I could hear across the room. He didn't make it in my face, but he made them from across the room, and I heard him. I generally work out with earbuds in. I'm listening to music, but I happened to have my music turned off at that time, and I heard what he said. And he's always been my motivation, or at least he was to begin with. He was part of my motivation to do what I was doing. And I look at the guy now, and he's the exact same size he was 2 years ago. He hasn't gained any muscle, and he hasn't gained any definition. He still comes in there and does the same thing in the gym that he was doing 2 years ago. And I'm a far healthier individual than I was 2 years ago. The thing about it is, if I only operated from the mind frame of I was going to prove him wrong, I really couldn't right now. Because part of what he said was, look at the old man lifting light weights. I'm still an old man, and I'm still lifting light weights. No, I mean, considerably lightweights in comparison to, a lot of the people I live with. So I couldn't prove him wrong, even though I've transformed myself into a much healthier, much fitter individual. He'd still be right, you know. So I didn't look at him as, fuel as far as I was going to prove him wrong. What I looked at him was is fuel motivation as I'm going to prove myself right because I'm going to be healthier. I wanted to put on size. I make no, mistake about that. So I'm going to grow in size. I'm going to grow muscle. I'm going to be healthier, and in the end, I'm going to be something that I'm proud of, not something to just make you eat your words. And I've met all those goals. Now I still have goals. I still want to get bigger. I still want to, do some other things. But I met my goals, and I've already got new goals. I had new goals before I met my old goals. But if my only goal was to prove him wrong, then I would have had to abandon my plan, which was how to grow muscle without subjecting myself to the highest percentage potential of getting injured, injuring joints. All right, because again, I'm 50 years old, so I don't want to tear up my shoulders, I don't want to tear up my elbows, I don't want to tear up my wrists, I don't want to tear up my knees, I don't want to tear up my hips. So I would have had to abandon the lightweight workout, high rep lightweight workout I was doing in order to prove him wrong. And I really honestly believe had I gone off on that tangent, there's a greater possibility I'd be sitting here today, nowhere near what I am today, with a potential injury. And let's face it, guys, if you get injured in the gym, it's not fun anymore. And you just stop doing it. Okay? So I set forth using him as motivation, but I didn't set forth trying to prove him wrong. I set forth trying to prove myself right, which was I could stick to the workout I was doing, regardless of my age. I could gain muscle. I could grow in size. I could be healthier. All of those things without having to try to prove him wrong. So it's a much better place trying to prove yourself right than it is trying to prove other people wrong, because it's not going to work out for you. You're either going to meet an end goal and quit because you met your goal, so you're going to stop, or you're going to drive yourself so crazy that you're not going to be in a good place mentally. So I'm just telling you from a motivation standpoint, make your own goals. Don't worry about what other people are telling you. Make realistic goals. They have to be obtainable, but make your own goals and then try to work towards those and prove yourself right. Don't worry about proving other people wrong. All right? So, Trigger Trauma, I hope you guys have a good week. We'll see you later.